Stop being ridiculous. If you hate our current lifestyle, then just get the hell out of here.
You're right.
Excuse me?
I understand. I'll leave now. When I agreed to what he had said, my husband, Nathan, began to panic.
Hey, do you know what this means? If you're leaving, it means we're getting a divorce, you know?
Yes, well, I intend to do that. I'll send you the divorce papers over mail, so sign it, and send it back to me at my parents' house, okay?
Are you being serious right now?
Yes, I am dead serious.
How dare you divorce me?
Shut the hell up. I mean, you're so annoying, you scumbag.
What?
Shut the hell up. You're the one who told me to leave if I didn't like it. So that's why I'm leaving. Quit being a wimp. Shut up. Just don't say anything anymore. I'll send you the divorce papers later on. So just hurry and sign them and give them back to me, you idiot. My name is Jenny. I met my husband Nathan through our mutual friend. I had never had such experience with love before, but I was attracted to him because of his willingness to take the lead. At first, there were no problems in my life with my husband, and we had a happy and peaceful time. But after a few months of marriage, things began to not look good. The reason why for this is because of my mother-in-law, Kendra, and my sister-in-law, Tanya, and my husband is no exception. Before marriage, I kept some distance with my in-laws reasonably well. But after marriage, that distance was gone. Kendra would call me every single day. Hey, Jenny. I haven't received any money from you yet. I beg your pardon? What are you talking about? What, you haven't heard from Nathan? He has been sending me money since he began working. Is that so? Well, I've never heard about that from him. Well then, please make sure to send the money for this month. Now, wait a minute. I can't have you talking to me about it. Please talk to Nathan directly about it. Oh, and why must I do that? Because that was decided something between you and Nathan, right? It's not something I could just go ahead with it. Ugh, you're a pretty annoying wife, aren't you? I got a little irritated hearing that, so I hung up the phone and called my husband. I got a call from your mother, something about sending money to her.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I never heard about it.
What? It's what I used to do when I was single, you know? Since we're married now, it's not something I should be doing, right? I'm married and have a family on my own too.
It seems like your mother doesn't think that way. Because I received a phone call from her urging me to send her money.
What? Really? Oh, is that so? Then, can you send her $500, Jenny?
What? Does that mean that you'll pay it back?
Oh, no way. We are now a married couple, and the money you earn, Jenny, and the money I earn belong to the both of us, right? So that's why I want you to send Mom the money. Well, I can't do that. If you want to continue sending money to your mother, you have to send the money from your salary. What? Well, hearing you say that, I don't feel like we're a married couple.
My husband was babbling on, but I hung up the phone. I didn't even know he was sending money to his mother, and I couldn't understand the logic of sending money to Kendra from the money I earned. Fortunately, we both work and have some enough money. But I would rather save for my future kids, whom I have yet to see, than send $500 to Kendra. After that, Kendra never asked me for money after that, and I am sure my husband was probably paying for it. But there was another issue. After 3 months of marriage, my husband started urging me to visit his parents.
Can we visit my mom tomorrow?
Well, I have work, so I can't.
What? You can't visit again? We haven't been there for more than a month now, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I really want to visit them sometimes, you know?
For what?
Well, you can go there and help out cleaning or cooking meals.
What? Why?
What do you mean, why? You're my wife, Jenny, aren't you? You are our family too, you know.
Okay, so?
Isn't it normal for you to take care and support my parents?
Yeah, it's normal. Since we're a family now, we should take care of each other, right?
You do know pretty well. So then...
No, cleaning and cooking is not necessary, don't you think?
Huh? Why?
What do you mean, why? Your sister Tanya is there with your parents, isn't she?
But Tanya's busy with work.
What? But I have work too. What's so different between me and Tanya?
Well, yeah, but...
No matter what my husband says, there is no need for me to go. Because my sister-in-law Tanya, who is single, is at my parents-in-law's house. And she can just help out Kendra. Well, I am sure that Tanya could be really busy. Because she is busy making unannounced visits to our house. But the only time she succeeded in barging into our house was only once. Other than that, Tanya made many daring attempts. But I have been ignoring all her attempts. When she first came unannounced, it was so terrible that I decided never to invite Tanya into our home again. My husband usually gets home around 11 p.m., but I get home around 6 p.m. Tanya must have known this because she came over to our house at 6:30 p.m. unannounced. Hey auntie, cook me something. I'm super hungry. Tanya and I are 1 year apart. If I am an auntie, she must be an auntie too, is what I thought to myself. She rushed in without a word to even greet me, and this was the first thing she said. There's no limit to her rudeness. I've already eaten dinner outside, so I don't plan to cook. What? Aren't you going to cook dinner for Nathan? We don't have the same schedule to eat a proper dinner together, so we each eat out on our own for dinners. Oh, I see. Then just cook me something. Why should I do that? I'm hungry. Okay, I see. Then I'll charge you $15 for it. Excuse me? You want me to cook you dinner, right? I'll cook you dinner, so please pay for it. What? You're unbelievable. What do you mean? Do you normally charge money from your relatives? Well, no, I don't normally. Then don't charge me for it. I only said I won't charge money normally. But this is not a normal situation. It's pretty abnormal. My husband's sister suddenly barges in, doesn't even say hello, and asks me to cook something because she's hungry, even though I already had dinner. This isn't normal at all, don't you think? So please pay up $15 first. Then Tanya turned red and left the house. And when my husband came home, he began to complain to me.
Tanya, she was crying. I heard that when Tanya asked you to cook dinner for her, you asked her to pay up, is that right?
Yeah, I said that.
Why would you say that?
I was trying to be rude to someone who was rude to me in the first place.
What? How could Tanya be rude to you?
You really don't know?
Well, you know, there are things you can't judge without hearing both sides of the story.
Your sister came to our house without any prior notice and demanded me to cook dinner for her without even saying hello. So who do you think is really rude here?
I see how it is. Well, Tanya really could have greeted you and said hello. I'll talk to Tanya about it.
Nathan didn't get the point at all. It's not that. Everything Tanya did was all rude. Coming here without any prior notice, asking for dinner, not saying hello, just literally everything. I don't know why Nathan doesn't realize that. The next day, Tanya visited our house without learning her lesson, but I just continued to pretend that I wasn't at home. In the meantime, the day to go on our honeymoon is approaching, but I am hesitant to go. To be honest, I don't want to go on this trip. It would have been fun if we had gone right after we got married, but due to our schedules, we are going now. Who can enjoy a honeymoon under such circumstances? Hey, about the honeymoon.
What's up? It's still over a month away, right?
I'm thinking that I want to cancel it. Even if we cancel now, there wouldn't be any cancellation fee.
What's wrong all of a sudden? You've been looking forward to it so much.
It's just... seeing how you are lately like this, I got really disappointed. You'd say things like I joined your family as your wife. I mean, I don't agree with what you say at all on some things.
I see. You're right, Jenny. I've been kind of stuck in this idea of what marriage should be like. I'm sorry. But thank you for reminding me. You should be the one I should value the most.
I was surprised at how honestly I was convinced by Nathan. Then my husband must have talked to Kendra and Tanya because Kendra's persistent phone calls and Tanya's unannounced visits to our house suddenly stopped. What the heck? If Nathan would have acted out so quickly like this, I should have had a serious talk with him earlier on. I knew I could count on him to take leadership. But I was wrong. I was completely fooled by my husband's trick. It was the day we returned from our honeymoon. When I opened the front door, the living room was somewhat noisy. I didn't need to see their face to know who it was. What are you two doing here? Oh, welcome home. What do you mean, what are we doing here? We were looking after your house while you both were gone. Nathan! Were you able to get the body cream which I asked you to get?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yay, thank you. Wait, hold on a minute now. You gave our key to them too?
Yeah, if anything happens while we're gone, that would be a hassle, right?
I can't believe this. Did you hear what I said to you before we went to this honeymoon? My husband looks at me like I'm a pain in the butt.
We had a good time, didn't we?
For what?
For the honeymoon.
So?
So, we're all living together from now on. So it's great that we got to make memories with just the two of us.
You're the worst. You were testing me?
You know, I'll let you in on something. You're the one who's the fool if you got deceived like that. You're so naive, you're so quick to trust people. Well, I took the risk to show you what the reality is. You should be grateful.
That sounds like the victim has more issues than the person who deceived the victim.
That's just jumping to conclusions. Women tend to do that, don't they? It's a really bad habit of them.
I beg your pardon? If you're the one deceiving a person, you're clearly in the wrong. You seem to think you're right about everything, and that's a very bad habit of yours.
Stop being ridiculous. If you hate our current lifestyle, then just get the hell out of here.
You're right.
Excuse me?
I understand. I'll leave now. When I agreed to what he had said, my husband, Nathan, began to panic.
Hey, do you know what this means? If you're leaving, it means we're getting a divorce, you know?
Yes, well, I intend to do that. I'll send you the divorce papers over mail, so sign it. And send it back to me at my parents' house, okay?
Are you being serious right now?
Yes, I am dead serious.
How dare you divorce me?
Shut the hell up. I mean, you're so annoying, you scumbag.
What?
Shut the hell up. You're the one who told me to leave if I didn't like it. So that's why I'm leaving. Quit being a wimp. Shut up. Just don't say anything anymore. I'll send you the divorce papers later on. So just hurry and sign them, and give them back to me, you idiot.
Oh.
Saying that, I just had enough and I left the house. Well, that was the first time in a while that I got so irritated and angry like that. I'm the type of person who values goodness, but these people are just completely cruel. But the phone hasn't stopped ringing once since I left them. How annoying. I'll turn off the phone. When I got back to my parents' house, both my parents were waiting for me. Oh, sweetie, what in the world happened? It seems like Nathan is on his way over here. What? So I have to see his face again, huh? I really don't want to. What's going on? Nathan sounded pretty desperate. Well, I just got super mad at him. What? I got super mad at him. Oh no! Hey, did you actually snap and get super angry at him? Yeah, I actually snapped and got super angry at him. I told him off, big time. My goodness, you're old enough to know better. Yeah, but hear me out. I told my parents the whole story. You were too nice to him. You should have said more. Well, I guess it's in our blood, huh? Oh well, I'm sure that idiot will be here soon. I'll make sure to teach him something.
No, you both need to calm down. I will handle him, so don't ever come out here.
Okay, Dad. About 5 minutes later, my husband arrived. I opened the living room door a little to see what was going on, and I saw Nathan apologizing to my dad with tears in his eyes. Then suddenly my husband raised his voice.
Jenny, you're here, aren't you? Oh, Jenny, I'm really sorry. I love you, Jenny.
Ugh, he's such a pain in the butt. He is not worth listening to.
I've been chasing you, Jenny, ever since we started dating. But you don't love me as much as I love you, right? So when we got married, I wanted you to support me, even if it's just a little. I know I asked a lot from you. I never intended to live with Mom from the beginning. I just wanted proof that you care about me. Hey, Jenny, you're here, right? Please answer. Answer me, please.
Since nobody responded, my husband barged in and opened the door to the living room.
Hey, Jenny. What? Where's Jenny?
She left as she was saying, "You're a pain in the butt."
What?
Jenny was there until you said, "Jenny, I know you're there. Jenny, I'm really sorry. I love you." And to that, she said, "You're a pain in the butt." I think she's getting the divorce papers by now. Nathan, if you really love Jenny, just stop trying to test her. My daughter has decided already that she will divorce you. So just give up. My mom told me that this kind of conversation had been going on after I left the house. I would do anything to divorce my husband, and my husband, who does not at all agree in divorcing me, we were both completely against each other. I felt like this divorce just went on and on. It took 1.5 years for the court to issue a ruling. Although I won and got to divorce in the end, I kept on seeing my ex-husband and how pathetic he was, and I thought I had enough with marriage. But my ex-husband's last words to me were like this:
I'll be your first and last companion for the rest of your life.
And hearing this made me so angry. Well, at any rate, I am happy that we are divorced finally. The marriage lasted less than 1 year, so we both couldn't claim for any compensation. The legal fees were a pain, but it was a learning experience. 5 years have passed since then, and I have remarried. I was blessed with a beautiful child. When I first got divorced, I never thought I would start a relationship with someone else, but time has helped me with that thought. I thought I would never see my ex-husband again, but as fate would have it, I would see him again. That day, I was shopping with my family at a newly built shopping mall. When I heard my name called, I turned around to see my ex-husband, who looked a little exhausted.
We were neighbors, but we didn't really get a chance to see each other very often. Are you still single?
He says this as he smirks, and it looks creepy as ever.
Oh, honey, there was pots and pans over there. It's something that you like, honey. Oh, you know each other?
My husband, who was holding our son, came over to see what was going on. No, I don't know him. Where were the pots and pans? They're here.
There, hold on now.
My husband chased after my son, who started to run. My ex-husband saw the whole thing, and he had a frozen look on his face. You must be mistaking me for someone else. I don't know you. Well then, I bet that man is still single. Well, I don't really care. I'm so happy right now, there's no need to look back on the past. I will go on with my life, cherishing my current husband, who is honest with me about my feelings, and with my adorable son. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My mother-in-law bullies me whenever I see her and tells me she doesn't need me, so I left. As a result.
Hey Millie, what is wrong with you? Excuse me? It's about the dishes that you cooked. The menus are all exactly the same as last year. You've got to be kidding me. So that's how you try to slack off, huh? I made a mistake for even asking a good-for-nothing person like you to cook this year too. I don't need a useless wife like you. I just had enough, and my patience had run out. Is that so? Well, if you don't need me, then I'll happily go home. My name is Millie. I am 33 years old, and I am a housewife. It has been 3 years since I got married to my husband Jake, but I had a problem, and that was my mother-in-law Evelyn. I don't know if Evelyn loves to bully her daughter-in-law in general, or if she simply hates me, or both, but she is very strict to me in any case. When I think back, Evelyn has been very harsh to me from the very beginning of our marriage. Hey Millie, why are you sitting there? Excuse me? You really are a useless wife. I went to visit my parents-in-law's house on a day when it wasn't even New Year's or anything. Evelyn greeted me with a smile, but when I was talking with my father-in-law, Roy, in the living room, she suddenly became angry with me and began to treat me horribly. When Evelyn began to act that way, Roy got surprised.
Hey, why are you acting like that? Millie here came into our family to be Jake's wife.
Roy defended me like that, but Evelyn, who is also strong-willed, argued back. Firsts are always crucial here. The mother-in-law is supposed to be the one to strictly guide her daughter-in-law anyways.
What you're saying is too outdated, Evelyn.
Roy argued back to her, but to that, Evelyn didn't step back down either. Who cares if it's outdated or not? I'm saying this for Millie's sake. I felt really bad that I was the cause of the fight between Evelyn and Roy, and eventually it was settled when I said, I'm sorry, Evelyn, and thank you for covering for me, Roy, and rushed to help Evelyn. But the interaction I would have with Evelyn since then has all been terrible, and she would harass and bully me, mumbling things like, it's all your fault, you know. Because of this, I immediately decided not to visit Evelyn and Roy, except for the big holiday events like Thanksgivings and New Year's holidays. While Roy was defending me, my own husband didn't seem to be interested in what was happening to me at all and was focused in watching TV. I had to deal with my in-laws, but I really think my husband was the worst. Normally, if your own wife is being harassed or bullied, her husband should protect her. And it was unbelievable of Jake to not get involved when his own husband's father was getting angry on his behalf. I was completely disappointed in Jake, but I still felt that it was somehow wrong to get a divorce right away. After all, I had fallen in love with Jake and chosen this person to marry, so I thought it was important for both of us to come to terms with each other first. About a year later since that incident, there was a New Year's gathering at Evelyn and Roy's house. At that time, all the relatives had come to their house, and it was like a big family party. Hey, Millie, what are you even doing? You are the wife of my eldest son in this family, so you better move around. You're so slow at everything. Evelyn still bullied me every time we met. But I did move around from the beginning. I prepared all the dishes for today's banquet in the first place, and I'm the first to carry them. Plus, I am greeting the relatives and pouring the drinks for them. So I didn't want Evelyn to say such a thing and order me around like that. But Evelyn says some terrible things about me to all their relatives like this. It really bothers me that Millie is such an uncaring wife. I really do feel sorry for Jake, who got such a useless, hopeless wife. They've only been married for a year or so, so Maybe it wouldn't hurt for Jake to find another, better person. Evelyn would laugh loudly while saying things like that. I was absolutely mortified. I had no idea that Evelyn could bully me this bad. Most of their relatives, who had never met me before and had known Evelyn longer, seemed to believe what she said and gave me a bit of a cold shoulder. Roy is willing to cover up for me whenever he notices something was going on, but since there are so many of us here, he can't come over here when I am talking to other relatives at other tables. So that's why Evelyn says whatever she wants. And my husband is completely uninterested in what was happening to me. He drinks a lot, eats a lot, and then lies down and goes to sleep by himself. I was really angry that my husband didn't protect me at all, so I decided to talk it over with him when we got home. Hey, have you noticed that I'm always being bullied by your own mother?
What? Bullied? Who's bullying who?
I am being bullied by your mother. God, are you not listening to what I'm saying?
Why? You're too loud.
It's because you're not interested in what's happening to me at all, you know? Normally, if you hear that your own wife is being harassed or being bullied, her husband would protect her, right?
Are you sure that you're being really bullied by Mom?
Excuse me?
Because if you're complaining that much about it, then it must be really bad. But if that was the case, I would have noticed it already. If I didn't notice it, that means it's not so bad at all, right? You say that like it's important, and it seems like you're making a big deal out of it.
What the heck are you saying? Your father argues back to your mother because of what she says about me. If you don't even notice that, then there's something wrong with you.
Huh? There's nothing wrong with me.
Roy is covering for me instead of you, when you're my husband. But you're just so uninterested in me, so isn't that strange?
Well, if you insist that much, then I'll watch you carefully at our next gathering. If I decide that Mom's bullying you, I'll warn my mom.
My husband and I had quite an argument, but anyway, he said he would take my side if Evelyn bullied me, so we decided to wait and see. Then, a few months passed, and there was a family gathering for the summer holidays. Even there, Evelyn continued to say terrible things about me to the relatives. You know, Millie hardly ever shows up at all. I mean, I do want to talk to her, you know. She's a housewife, so she should be free during the day. But she's always too busy to come over. She actually really doesn't like me, huh? How sad. Is it my fault for my own daughter-in-law to not like me? This time, Evelyn made me look bad by talking down to me like I was looking down on her when I wasn't. Sure, I don't like Evelyn, but that's because she bullies me. If I had left that out, it would simply come across as if I had a really bad personality. I looked at my husband. My husband looked at Evelyn this time and listened. But even though Evelyn was talking terrible things about me to the relatives, Jake started talking to other relatives in the middle of the conversation and started getting into drinking and eating the dishes again without paying any attention to Evelyn. When we got home, I questioned my husband. Hey, why didn't you cover up for me?
Huh? What do you mean?
When Evelyn was saying terrible things about me.
But Mom was only saying the truth, right?
Excuse me?
Since you don't visit my parents' house often, isn't it natural for you to be worried that Mom might not like you? You're a little too self-centered to take it as a sign that Mom was saying terrible things about you when she's enjoying herself like that, aren't you? The world doesn't revolve around you, you know. I was just stunned and speechless. Why should I be offended in such a way? It was Evelyn's fault and my husband's fault for not realizing it. I have become very disappointed with my husband. I wondered if I could stay married to such a person. I thought about it, but I am now just a housewife and I had quit my job when I got married.
So even if I get divorced right now, I will not be able to live on my own. If that is the case, I have to first do some job hunting and decide on a job. But the reality is that things are not that easy, and I keep getting rejected for job interviews. Will I ever be able to leave my husband? But I could not give up at this point. I continued my job hunt without giving up. I realized that time had already passed to the point where the end of the year was approaching. But that meant I had to attend the New Year's gathering again. If I didn't attend, not only my husband but also Evelyn would say this and that, and I didn't know how many terrible rumors would spread among my relatives when I wasn't there. I went with my husband to his parents' house, hoping that this would be the last time I would attend if possible. Evelyn was still waiting for me, as if she was going to harass me.
Oh, Millie, you're so late. Hurry up and begin preparing for cooking the meals.
Yes. I obeyed and started cooking. It was hard work, but at least I finished cooking for a lot of people. I was able to finish cooking early, but my relatives had already started to arrive here and there. I greeted them with New Year's greetings. Then, Evelyn suddenly came to me with an angry look on her face.
Hey, Millie! What is wrong with you?
Excuse me?
It's about the dishes that you cooked. The menus are all exactly the same as last year.
Oh, that's because...
You've got to be kidding me. So that's how you try to slack off, huh? What kind of nerve do you even have to make my relatives eat the same food again?
Evelyn was furious. It's not that I was slacking off or anything. My husband was nearby, so I asked him for help as my last hope. Hey, can you say something too? If he doesn't take my side on this, I'll leave him. I asked my husband as I thought that to myself. But, as I should have expected, he did not take my side.
You were slacking off, weren't you?
What?
Cooking and making the same menus as last year is nothing but slacking off. Shame on you for slacking off that way.
Oh my God. Hearing Jake say that and agreeing to what Evelyn was saying, she used this as her advantage.
I made a mistake for even asking a good-for-nothing person like you to cook this year too.
And what was most shocking was that she started throwing the food I cooked into the trash. What are you doing?
You can't make my relatives eat the same menus. I'm going to order some pizzas now, and you're going to pay for everyone's portion.
Mom, that's a great idea. Millie, this is what you deserve, and it's your punishment.
With that, my husband started calling the pizza restaurant. Then Evelyn, with a look of triumph on her face, said this to me.
I don't need a useless wife like you. So hurry up and clean these dishes that you cook instantly.
I just had enough, and my patience had ran out. Is that so? Well, if you don't need me, then I'll happily go home.
I beg your pardon?
Both my husband and Evelyn looked really surprised. But I got ready to leave and grabbed my bag, not caring about their reactions. I've just run out of patience, so I'm divorcing you.
Divorce? Hey, wait a minute.
My husband rushed after me, but I ignored him and left my in-laws' house. Then I got in my car and drove home, packed my bags, and went back to my own parents' house. My parents were surprised, but were furious when they heard what had happened. Then I was relaxing at my parents' house and eating New Year's dishes my mother had cooked for the first time in a long time. My husband was calling me non-stop, but I ignored all of them. And the next day he called again, so I had no choice but to answer.
Hey, where are you, Millie?
I'm back at my parents' place. I've already packed up my belongings and brought them back, so all I have to do now is divorce you.
No way. Are you really being serious?
Of course.
Isn't it because of my mom? So why are you divorcing me?
How stupid can you be? I have asked you for help so many times, and yet you didn't help me at all. And of course, you attacked me with Evelyn. How can I stay married to someone like that?
No way. Please, don't divorce me. A lot is going on back at my parents' house too.
My husband told me what happened after I left, even though I didn't even ask. After I left, Evelyn and Jake said, "What a useless wife." And then Jake saw that his cousin's 5-year-old son was watching what was happening the whole time. Realizing him being there, Evelyn asked him, "Oh, what's wrong, sweetie?" And since the boy saw the dishes thrown in the trash, he suddenly began to cry.
My favorite dishes are all thrown away.
As the boy began to cry, Evelyn panicked. And the boy's grandmother, who happens to be Evelyn's older sister, Laura, appeared to see what was going on.
Hey, why is my grandson crying?
Evelyn was upset because she has always been afraid of Laura, and she began to panic. Then a relative who was watching the whole thing told Lara that Evelyn had told me not to cook the same menus I did last year and had thrown the food in the trash. When Lara heard all the story, she was furious.
What the hell did you do? I'm the one who asked Millie to make the same menus as last year.
What?
She made all the things that my grandson, who's really allergic to many things, loves. So I asked her to make more of the same menus this year too.
No way. But I ordered these pizzas, so aren't they better?
Are you kidding me? My grandson can't eat cheese. Now he can't eat anything because of you.
I'm so sorry.
That's enough. We're going home. We'll never come to your house for the New Year's gathering again.
Lara says so and had apparently taken Jake's cousin and his wife and Lara's grandchildren home with her. Plus, Lara was more beloved by all the relatives than Evelyn, and also when they heard that Evelyn was throwing away the dishes, many of them thought it was indeed too much, and no one took her side. When Roy found out what was going on, he became very angry and told Evelyn,
"We're getting a divorce."
My husband was also blamed by Roy and the relatives for not protecting his own wife, and he also had to pay for all the pizzas for about 30 people.
I had to pay a lot for everyone's pizzas, you know. I saved money to buy things I wanted to buy, but now I can't even buy them. Since I've been punished like this, please just forgive me.
What on earth was he saying? What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with me, and you deserved it. Anyway, I can't be with you anymore, so I'm divorcing you. Let's get in touch about the rest through the lawyer.
Oh, no.
I then just hung up the phone. After that, I asked my father to introduce me to a lawyer who he recommended. It seems that Evelyn was really abandoned by Roy, and Evelyn, who had been a housewife all her life, had no job, and so she could only depend on Jake. But my ex-husband said,
"It's your fault that this happened,"
and blames Evelyn every day, and so she seems to be mentally driven into a corner. Then Evelyn stopped doing any house chores altogether because she was too mentally distressed. So Jake had to do all the house chores by himself and paying the living expenses for the two of them from his own salary. And he was definitely having a hard time. I, on the other hand, have successfully found a new job and I am now working hard as an office worker. Now I am thinking of looking for a new hobby while saving money. It's absolutely not right to throw away any food. But there's no need for a husband who literally bullies his own wife. I'm really glad that Millie got away from her no-good husband and her crappy mother-in-law. I wish her all the happiness in her life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My mother-in-law weds me. who has a monthly income of $3,000 to get out of the house?
I've always hated your high and mighty attitude. I'm going to tell you directly. I want you to get out of the house and I will live with my son, my mother-in-law said with a look of triumph on her face. Whose house is this, and thanks to whom were you able to make the living? She doesn't even understand such that simple thing. Even though she's my husband's mother, I have my limits. I can't handle the self-centered mother-in-law any longer. I slowly opened my mouth, ready to end it all. I see, then I'll gladly leave. She still doesn't know what kind of consequences awaits her after this. My name is Miranda, and I just celebrated my 30th birthday. I have been married to my husband for 2 years. My husband's name is Robin, also 30 years old. We met through work and have been happily married while working continuously even after our marriage. But just the other day, my husband resigned from the company he was working for. He had been looking for a job for a long time, and he started to take it seriously. Normally, he should be looking for a new job while working, but it's hard to find the time to do so. So, my husband resigned from the company and has been working hard to find a new job. He put all the severance money he received from his former company into a joint account with me. He doesn't touch it, and now we make our living from my salary. My husband and I had an ordinary but modest and peaceful marriage. I did not doubt that this life would go on forever. Then one day, my husband came home from work and spoke to me.
Miranda, my mom is in trouble.
What's the matter, Robin? You're such in a hurry.
I just got the call that Mom fell down the stairs and had to be rushed to the emergency center.
What? Lucia? My husband's mother, Lucia, is 65 now. She divorced Robin's dad when Robin was very young and raised him by herself. For such a mother-in-law, my husband must have been the love of her life. I knew from the moment I went to greet her for the wedding that she did not think well of me. That is why I remember how relieved I was when I was able to live with my husband alone. However, the separation from my mother-in-law had taken its toll on us this time. If we had lived with her, she might not have been injured. My husband seemed to feel the same way, and even in the cab on the way to the hospital, he had a pensive look on his face.
I wonder if Mom is okay. I heard she's conscious.
I'm sure she'll be fine. The stairs at your parents' house aren't that steep.
Yeah, thank you, Miranda.
No, I know how much you care for your mother. My husband's back feels much smaller than usual. Touching his back gently, we hurried to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital room, my mother-in-law looked better than expected. She called out to us in a healthy appearance. No, she was waiting for Robin, not for me. Oh, Robin, you're here.
Mom, I'm so glad you're okay. I was so shocked when I heard you fell down the stairs.
I'm fine. I just stepped off and hit my hip. They said I could be out of the hospital in a few days.
Well, that's good, but I don't know if it's okay for you to get out of the hospital that fast. Wouldn't it be hard to make a living if you went home now?
At that time, my mother-in-law gave my husband a big smile as if she had been waiting for that word. I'm thinking of staying at your place for a while after I get out of the hospital.
Huh?
Because I'm in such a state and I don't feel comfortable being alone right now. Even if I stay in the hospital, the cost of hospitalization would be ridiculous.
That may be true, but...
I also don't want to be a burden to my son and your wife. But Robin, you're the only one I can count on now.
Mom.
I can understand what Lucia is trying to say. She raised her only son with her own hands. If something were to happen to her, it is understandable that my husband is the only one she can rely on. However, we have our own lives as a couple. Just the thought of living with Lucia, who dislikes me, chokes me up. However, this feeling I have right now is nothing but selfishness. My husband's mother is in trouble.
If this is the case, then it would make sense for me to accept her as Robin's wife. As I was repeating these questions to myself, my mother-in-law looked into my face with a slightly triumphant expression. Hey, Miranda, there's nothing wrong with me living with you, is there? We are a family. Well, that's... Or are you trying to force me to live by myself in the hospital, Miranda? No, if it's okay for you, we'd love to have you with us until you recover. Yeah, Miranda agreed, so I'll be taking care of you for a while after I get out of the hospital. My mother-in-law seemed to be happy and gave my husband a big smile. He looked worriedly at me, but I forced myself to give him a fake smile. We took a cab again and headed back to our house. On the way home, my husband looked a little gloomy and said to me,
Miranda, I'm sorry. We were kind of forced into moving in with my mom.
No, it's okay. It's just until your mother recovers.
But, I'm in the middle of looking for a new job. You are taking care of me because I don't have an income, and now it's my mom.
I'll be fine. I'm working during the day, so I don't think I'll have to deal with your mother that much.
If you are fine, then I'm fine too, but what would my mom say if I told her I'm looking for a job?
Oh, yes. Lucia seemed so happy that you were working for your former company. My husband's former company is one of the most prestigious companies anyone has ever heard of. The salary was good, and combined with my income, it was more than enough for the two of us to live on. Lucia seemed to be very proud of this, and whenever we met, she would bring up his job and repeatedly tell Robin to send her money from his good income. If my mother-in-law heard that he had left the company, that would be a problem. After discussing it with my husband, we decided to prevent Lucia from knowing that my husband had left the company until he found a new job. A few days later, Lucia was discharged from the hospital and moved in with us as planned. As it happened to be a Saturday, my husband drove to pick her up. We stopped at my parents-in-law's house to pack a few things, and then my mother-in-law came over to our house. As soon as she entered our house, she scurried around and asked me, Miranda, where will my room be? Your room? Yes, I'm going to live here for a while, so of course I'll need my room. No, but we don't have a very large apartment, so I'm planning to have a space for your mattress in the living room. Huh? A mattress? My mother-in-law changed the color of her eyes and stared at me, then started speaking as if she would look down on me. Miranda, who do you think I am? You have no common sense. How dare you treat your mother-in-law like that? But I bought the mattress for you. I'm the kind of person who needs a nice bed to get a good night's sleep. If all you have is a mattress, then give me your bed. Huh? Lucia's selfish comment made even my husband open his mouth.
Mom?
But her momentum did not stop, and she instantly got teary-eyed and appealed to Robin. Robin, I know you will understand. My back is still not in perfect condition. Don't be such an ogre and tell me I have to sleep on a mattress.
But you can't ask me to share Miranda's bed. It's our bedroom. What if I sleep on the mattress and you and Miranda sleep in the same room?
No, you could just rent out Miranda's bed, and that would be fine. Then I and Robin can sleep together, right?
Huh?
My husband was so confused that he couldn't speak, and me either. That would be fine, right? I had no choice but to nod at my mother-in-law, who looked at me with a smile on her face.
Miranda, are you sure about this?
My husband asked anxiously, and I nodded reluctantly. I'd rather put up with it myself than have to keep talking about it. But here's where the real hell began. The next day, my mother-in-law began to take her selfishness out on me to the maximum. After my husband left first in the morning, I prepared breakfast for my mother-in-law, but she said it was bad and not healthy enough. When I look at my phone during my lunch break at work, she texted me that there are no tea cakes. I received text messages complaining endlessly about how I would dare to treat my mother-in-law like that. Unable to ignore them, I responded to each one, but my mother-in-law was never satisfied with my replies. Furthermore, since she has come to live with us, the cost of living has increased dramatically. My mother-in-law is sensitive about not only food but also drinks. She even asks for an allowance regularly when Robin is not around. The monthly living expenses for our household have been about $2,000, but now it was $3,000. I didn't tell my husband about this so that he wouldn't worry, but now most of my income goes to the household. However, I would like to keep my husband's retirement money untouched in case something should happen. So I tried to get back on my own without telling my husband about my frustration. However, no matter how hard I tried on my own, my mother-in-law never understood. She doesn't know that my husband quit his job. She would never have imagined that I was the only one who works for a living. Every time I came home from work, she would yell unreasonably at me, and I was mentally overwhelmed. And then one day, it was Saturday, and my husband was out at a job fair for a potential employer. In the early afternoon, as I was cleaning our house, my mother-in-law started sighing and complaining as usual.
It's really frustrating to watch you. Why do you have to be such a useless wife?
Lucia, I can do a whole range of housework, so please don't worry about it. I'm sorry to irritate you, so please just go to the other room.
What, you think I'm in the way?
No, that's not what I meant.
You can't do anything. That's why I didn't want to live with you.
Huh? What is she talking about? We didn't propose that she live with us. She said she was worried about being alone, so I had no choice but to accept. I think this is too unreasonable, no matter how much I try to endure. Amidst a whirlwind of emotions, I couldn't stand it any longer and replied, "With all due respect, since you came to live with us, I too have been burdened in many ways. So you can't talk to me like that."
Don't talk so high and mighty. You owe your life now to Robin, don't you?
No, it's not. I'm telling you, the income of this house right now is...
I've always hated your arrogant attitude. I'm going to make this very clear. I'm going to live with my son, so get out of this house.
With that, my mother-in-law shoved me over her shoulder. I was holding the vacuum cleaner in my hand, and I fell on my buttocks with a mighty thud. Lucia was smiling happily at the sight of me. As soon as I saw that expression, the dark emotions that had been suppressed in the back of my mind began to flow out of me with great force. I couldn't believe it. How could she do this to me after being taken care of so much? Just because you don't know anything, you can't make fun of me. If that's what she wants, I'll end it all myself. With that in mind, I slowly stood up and turned my face to my mother-in-law. "I see. Well then, I'll gladly leave."
Huh?
You said that I can leave, right? Then I will gladly leave. I guess she didn't expect me to accept it so easily. My mother-in-law was stiff with a blank expression on her face. Without paying attention to my mother-in-law, I went to my room and started packing my belongings. As I was packing my luggage, I heard my husband's voice saying, "I'm home." I heard him shouting, so he seems to have heard the whole story from my mother-in-law. When I showed up, he came in with a pale face. "Miranda, is it true that you're leaving?" "Yes, your mother told me to leave." "Don't tell me my mom has been complaining to you all this time." "Well, yes, she's been unreasonable every day. But I didn't want to worry you, so I kept quiet about it. I'm sorry." "Why? You should have told me earlier." "My husband told me so, but I don't want to burden him as much as possible while he's in the middle of his job search." And Lucia, who didn't even know that, continued to accuse me of.
Don't play the victim like that. I've been putting up with you because of your stupidity.
Stupidity?
Because, you know, thanks to Robin, we have such a good life, and you're a useless wife who can't do anything.
My mother-in-law's words left me dumbfounded and speechless. Beside her, my husband looked pale, put his head in his hands, and mumbled.
Our life is finished.
At his words, my mother-in-law asked, "What?" My mother-in-law looked at him curiously. She seems to have noticed that something was wrong.
Robin, what are you talking about by saying, our life is finished?
Yes, if Miranda were to leave now, we would be done.
What do you mean? I'm here, we'll be fine. And besides, we have your income.
I quit my last job and I'm looking for a job right now, and Miranda is the one that's been supporting us all this way. Miranda's the one who's kept you going through everything. And you treat her like that?
Huh?
Lucia probably never imagined that I alone could make a living of us three. When she learned the truth, she approached me with a cringing look on her face.
I'm sorry, Miranda. I didn't know anything. I mean, you should have told me in the first place. Then I wouldn't have had this misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding? I'm so angry from the bottom of my heart at my mother-in-law for trying to conveniently smooth things over. I forgot that my husband was there and yelled at my mother-in-law. You've got to be kidding me. How do you think I have been living with you? I've endured every unreasonable thing you've said and done, and now you suddenly ask me to leave. And you're trying to make it out to be just a misunderstanding.
Calm down, Miranda.
How can you tell me to be calmed down in this situation? Who do you think got me into this mess? As long as you're here, I won't live in this house anymore. I won't spend any more of my earnings on someone who can't even appreciate me. I'm not going to continue being a housekeeper for you. Lucia winced at my words for a moment. As if to pressure her, my husband coldly said to her, "Get out of here."
Robin, what are you talking about? I'm your mother.
I don't give a shit. You tormented my precious wife. Someone like you, you're not my mother anymore. Now get out of my house.
No, but...
In the end, it was my mother-in-law who was kicked out of the house, not me. My mother-in-law cried and screamed for a while at the front door, but when my husband and I continued to ignore her, she toddled back to her house. I haven't seen my mother-in-law since. She still calls us once in a while, and I still get daily emails from her, but the content is all ridiculous. At first, they were thin apologies, but she got angry that I didn't respond, and now she is abusing me with all the messages. My husband was so angry that he stopped sending money to her and deleted his mother's contact information. We are considering moving soon so that we will never see my mother-in-law again. I wonder how my mother-in-law will live now that she has lost the only family she has left. I know for sure that she will not have a bright future ahead of her. But neither my husband nor I have any regrets. The end of my life with my mother-in-law has restored peace in our marriage.
Miranda, I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Don't worry about it. It's not your fault.
Thank you. We're gonna have a peaceful life together.
Yeah. My husband saw my smile, so he smiled too. I hope this kind of time will continue for a long time. That is my current wish.
I got a sudden angry call from my mother-in-law. She asks why I didn't attend my daughter's wedding.
Suddenly, a ringtone rang. It was my husband's smartphone. Apparently, he had left it at home and gone out. I looked at the call screen and saw my mother-in-law's name on the screen. I felt bad ignoring the call from my mother-in-law, so I picked up the phone for my husband, who had left his phone at home.
What are you doing? It's your daughter's big day, isn't it? A father is going to be late for his daughter's wedding.
As soon as I picked up the phone, my mother-in-law, without even giving me a chance to answer, asks me a question right out of the blue.
Daughter?
What are you talking about? Our daughter passed away 5 years ago. You know that. Then, from the phone, I heard a young woman's voice ask, "Has Dad still not arrived yet?" Our daughter passed away 5 years ago. But my mother-in-law did indeed say daughter, and I hear a young woman's voice. What is this all about? My mind went blank.
Linda, why are you answering the phone?
My mother-in-law exclaimed to me on the phone, sounding impatient. My mind went blank, and my daughter's smile and memories of the past came back to me in bits and pieces. My husband Jason and I have been married for 20 years. Jason and I had a daughter shortly after we were married. She was a sweet girl with a lovely smile, but she passed away 5 years due to an illness. Soon after she was born, we found out that she was sick. The doctor told me,
We didn't expect her to live long. There is a possibility that she may die soon. Please be prepared for that.
After a long pregnancy, my first child was finally born. When we were told that the child was sick and would not live long, both James and I were depressed and in despair. However, contrary to the doctor's expectations, our daughter lived to be 15 years old. When she was born, we thought we might never see her grow up. But she lived on despite her illness and weakness, and even attended kindergarten, elementary school, and junior high school. There were times when caring for my daughter was difficult, but I was saved by my daughter, who cared for her family more than anyone else, trying to enjoy every moment of her life, and working hard with a smile even through painful treatment. I am truly grateful that my daughter was born, and the time I spent with her is an invaluable part of my life. I am still grateful for the life she lived, and I am still grateful for the time she spent with me. And yet, she was only 15 years old. She would have been 20 now, 5 years after she passed away. The other day, I saw that there was a reunion of her middle school class in our area. There, I saw my daughter's classmates gathered there, talking happily and taking pictures together. I wonder what she would have talked about with her classmates if she were still alive. I wonder if she would have taken pictures with her friends. I wonder how my daughter, now an adult, would have lived the rest of her life. The more I saw her classmates shining brightly, the more I could only think of my daughter, who is in the past, wondering what if she were still alive. And I felt indescribably sad and cried a little on the way home. One Sunday, 5 years after her death, Jason was out early in the morning for a day. He went fishing with a friend. A few hours after Jason left, his phone rang. I didn't realize it until then, but Jason had forgotten his phone and had left it behind. I checked the call screen, and so it was my mother-in-law. I had bad if I answered Jason's cell phone, but I thought, what if this is an urgent call? And if it was my mother-in-law calling, there would be no particular problem if I answered. As soon as I pressed the call screen, without even a chance for me to answer, my mother-in-law said in her very first words,
What are you doing? Today is your beloved daughter's big day. It's about to start. A father is going to be late for his daughter's wedding. Tell me quickly where you are.
I thought it was the wrong number or something, but it was my mother-in-law's name on the screen and her voice on the phone. It occurred to me that maybe my mother-in-law was lost her mind. Well, Jason forgot his phone and went out. I, Jason's wife, Linda, am on it. I tell her on the phone as calmly as I can, even though my head is spinning.
What?
Did you just say daughter? Our daughter passed away 5 years ago. You know that, don't you, Grace? I heard an unexpected word on the phone as I did so. Grandma, is Dad not going to make it? It was definitely a young woman's voice. My daughter passed away 5 years ago, but my mother-in-law said daughter, and the young woman called my mother-in-law Grandma. What the hell was this all about? My mind went blank.
Linda, why are you answering the phone?
My mother-in-law exclaimed to me on the phone in a panicked tone. At first, I questioned my mother-in-law to get things straightened out. Grace, what is this all about? Who is that daughter on the phone? What is her relationship with Jason? And is this a wedding today? Please explain it all.
What should I do? You asked me to explain everything out of the blue. What should I do?
It continues like that. My mother-in-law backed up my barrage of questions the whole time and wouldn't answer properly. I later heard that Jason was in a cab heading to the ceremony at this time. The cab got stuck in traffic, and they were late for the ceremony. My mother-in-law was just babbling and wouldn't answer any of my questions. I figured this was getting nowhere, so I got into my parents-in-law's house with a duplicate key and waited for my mother-in-law and James to return home from the ceremony. When James came home, he was very surprised to see me at his parents' house. But when I explained casually what had happened over the phone, he let his shoulder drop and sighed. I questioned Jason and his mother again about the truth of what had happened today. At first, neither of them would tell me, but when I told them that I would not leave until they answered, they seemed to relent and began to answer in a grumbling manner. The story goes back 20 years. Jason was cheating on me before we were married. He also had a daughter with the other woman, and by some coincidence, the daughter of the affair was the same age as our daughter, who had passed away. The affair partner's daughter grew up to be a thriving young woman, and today was her wedding day. Jason began to tell us that he had gotten busy at work since her daughter was born. Many days, he didn't come home because he had to stay overnight at the office. And some days, he was away from home for days because he had to go on a business trip. To be honest, it was hard caring for our sickly daughter on my own. In addition to raising a child for the first time, caring for a child who was rarely around here was harder than I could have imagined. But at the time, I didn't want to meddle in Jason's business affairs. I was grateful that Jason was working and supporting our family, and I believed it was because he loved my daughter as much as I did. That's what made it possible for me to get through each day, even though it was hard. And yet, Jason lied and said he was at work, forcing me to take care of our daughter, while he relaxed gracefully in his other home. And to my surprise, my mother-in-law tolerated James's lifestyle, and at times even provided support for the other family. My mother-in-law thought that our daughter, who was born with a disease, was a failure, and she did not like me for giving birth to such a grandchild. Perhaps because of this, my mother-in-law came to visit my daughter only a few times, and it was always my father-in-law who came to see her a lot. And my daughter looked forward to seeing her grandfather. Now, my father-in-law is overseas for business reasons. Jason and his mother reveal one shocking truth after another. They seemed somehow to be relaxed that the truth was revealed and continued. Jason, you should break up with this woman. She ruined your daughter's wedding ceremony day. She's just jealous of her happiness. Maybe Mom is right. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time, and you just made it worse. So, we're breaking up, right? I mean, break up with me already. I'll pay you what you want in alimony. That'll be enough. After all this time, I couldn't believe them looking down on me. That he was having an affair, that he had an illegitimate child, and that he neglected his deceased daughter. On top of that, they would order me to get a divorce. I felt more sorry for my dead daughter than for myself if things continued as they were. I told them both that I would be happy to divorce Jason and ran out of my parents-in-law's house. I returned home and began preparing to divorce by calling a lawyer. Shortly thereafter, I filed the divorce papers and left the house where Jason and I were living. Because I had a lawyer, I was able to get a larger alimony payment from Jason, and the person he was cheating on me with than a market rate. The day Jason and my mother-in-law were having a shocking conversation at my parents-in-law's house, I actually recorded the conversation. As soon as I left the house I lived with Jason, I sent that recording to my father-in-law and Jason's company. When my father-in-law heard that recording, he flew back from overseas to see me. My father-in-law had always cared about me as well as our daughter while he was in the States, and that didn't change after he went overseas. In this situation, I was happy that my father-in-law, because he was very dedicated to his work. But in this case, he even interrupted his work overseas to come back to the States. As soon as my father-in-law met me, he apologized.
I should have paid more attention to my family. I have caused you so much pain and trouble. I am sorry. I cannot forgive those guys. I will insulate myself from Jason who hurt you. And of course, I will divorce my wife.
That's what he told me. The company Jason worked for is owned by my father-in-law. In other words, my father-in-law's insulating Jason meant that Jason would be fired from the company he now works for. Jason was fired from the company after being insulated by his father, and Grace divorced from my father-in-law and had no place to live. They were so resentful that they thought it was all my fault, and they were going to barge into my house. They didn't have a duplicate key, so they started yelling and screaming at the room, which showed no sign of coming out even when they rang the bell. And they were almost breaking the doorknob. But I had already moved to a different house. Therefore, another stranger was living in the house, where the two stormed out, and the police were called to the commotion against the two who suddenly stormed out. I heard that they finally ran out of places to go and tried to get a hold of the married daughter of the adulterer. So they stormed into the newlywed daughter's house. It seemed like she was home, so they tried to get in, but there was no response from the daughter.
Hey, it's me. It's your dad. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, open the door. Grandma's here too. I came to see how you're doing. Please let us in.
The daughter realized that they need help, so she tried to ignore them. However, she could not bear to see them staying in front of the house and reluctantly invited them in, saying that it would disturb the neighbors. At first, they said they were just checking up, but as the conversation progressed, they began to talk about how unhappy they were, and eventually they even got down on their knees, shamelessly begging for help. But after all, she is the daughter of an unfaithful partner. She turned to her father, Jason, and said,
But to you, my mother was the affair, and I am the daughter of the cheater. But you still supported us, so I called you Dad to thank you a little bit. So, money was the only link between Dad and me.
Jason is stunned by his daughter's words out of the blue.
And I called you Grandma because you supported us too. And when you ran out of money, it's our turn to help you because we're her family? You don't know how we have felt all this time. You've been helping us on your own. I didn't ask you.
And then she simply cut Jason and his mother off.
Is that what you thought all along? Unbelievable. What's going to happen to our relationship now?
The daughter just said grace like a throwaway comment.
We have no use for people without money. You have a real family somewhere else, but you have been using us as a family for your affair partner. In the same way, we have been taking advantage of you. Now, if you don't have any money, please leave. We're not a family anymore.
Jason and his mother, who had been silently listening to her words, were now trembling with anger. And then they start shaking.
What kind of a way to talk to a father who has supported you all this time? I thought you were the better granddaughter, but it turns out that you were a failure too.
they yelled at her. Grace started screaming, throwing dishes, cushions, and other items in the house, not only at the walls and floor, but also at her granddaughter. Their outburst made a mess of the new house, and the daughter, feeling that she was indeed in danger, called the police. But the police who arrived at the scene saw Jason and Grace, whom no one could touch, and brought them in again. This police action caused Station's daughter to be marked by the neighbors, and her husband also found out that her family was troublesome because of this incident. Because of this, the daughter's husband divorced her quickly, after only 1 month of marriage. On the other hand, I was able to get a new job at a company owned by my father-in-law, thanks to his arrangement. I had qualifications at grade levels, such as a bookkeeper and computer exam, so I was always ready to work if I wanted to. The reason was that I was always trying to improve my skills to earn money for my daughter's medical expenses in between taking care of her. Because of this, I am now working hard with a salary that is enough to live on my own. My father-in-law was so concerned about me that he cut ties with his own son and divorced my mother-in-law as well, even after the divorce of Jason with me. Not only that, but I am so grateful to my father-in-law for providing me with a new job. I told my father-in-law how sorry and grateful I was, and he said,
Please let me do this, because I feel sorry for you too. And I am so grateful to you, Linda, for giving me my one and only granddaughter. My life is so much happier that I had such a sweet granddaughter. Besides, it's normal for families to support each other. Linda, you are a very important family member who gave me a granddaughter.
I couldn't stop crying at his words. I think that's all thanks to my daughter. She passed away 5 years ago. But thanks to her, I was able to break off a bad relationship. And I still have a wonderful relationship with someone who considers me family. I'm really glad I met her. Thank you for being born as my daughter. Let's continue to build a new life together.